Thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm Jeff from the Portus team. And I can't remember when it's my last time speaking English on a stage, but let's give it a try. But because people are leaving, so I'll just speak slowly. So I don't know how many of you are coming for the 100 million, but let me clarify this at the beginning. So the 100 million we reached last year is RPC codes, not the income we made last year. And why Portus reached so many RPC codes last year? What kind of service Portus is providing? So Portus is top 3 of 23 solvers on the CloudSwap platform, and we settled 1.3 million USD on the mainnet in the last 30 days, which was 1.8 times of the average, and we filled 33,000 orders in the last 30 days, which was 2.2 times of the average. So basically, we're a solver who provide the best price for the users for them to do the swap. And we also help people like Trump to swap from USDC to ENA, and we also help Vitalik to swap from Mudan to ETH to do charity like for public goods he mentioned this morning. And what does 100 million RPC code mean? Like, because it's a very big number, right? So it means that Portus will make RPC code like 385 times to the blockchain. But why does Portus need to make so many RPC codes? Why? Because when we are trying to do a swap, there will be a lot of options for us to do the swap, right? We can swap the Ethereum to USDC directly, or we can swap the Ethereum to USDC with tokens in between, or we can split the amount of ETH to different pools and swap them to USDC. But these are some of the strategy we can do, but the goal of us is to provide the best price to the user. So why do we have to choose? All we have to do is get the price of all the options, and then we provide the best back to the user. So you can see that if I try to get the price of all these kind of possibilities from the blockchain, and then we will have to call the blockchain a lot of times. Not to mention that if we just say that if I want to try to swap ETH to USDC in a liquid pool, and then I have to get the price for once, right? But what happens if I have 10 liquid pools I can swap? Then I have to get the price for 10 times, right? And now Portus has over 70 liquidity sources, and the liquidity sources here is not a pool. It means that maybe like it's curved, and there's a lot of pools in a liquidity source, which you can see that the more liquid source we have, the more possible path we can find, and then the more RPC codes we have to make. And there was a time that Portus has found 1435 paths for a single swap. I don't know, did you remember your last swap by yourself, or maybe you do it by an aggregator or something? But I remember that if I do it by myself, I can only like find 3, 4, 5 paths, or maybe when I use an aggregator, maybe the aggregator just provide me that 3, 5 paths maybe. But Portus would find 1435 paths for you just for a single swap. Okay, but when we make this much RPC codes, what if our RPC endpoint cannot handle the traffic? So if the RPC endpoint cannot handle the traffic, there will be a lot of timeout error, right? Because they cannot respond to the data in time. And when that happens, when Portus cannot get the price in time, we cannot return the best price to the user in time, which means that we have to give up to fill the order for the user, which means that all the efforts we made were in vain. Okay? And so the first lesson we learned is how to choose an RPC endpoint. So first thing you need to consider is the monthly quota, like how many RPC calls you have to make in a month. So, and you also have to consider if the market is cold or if the market is hot, because the RPC call numbers will be different. And then you will not want to have a lot of RPC call remain at the end of the month. So the first thing you have to consider is the quota. And then we found that the RPS is also pretty important too, because even though we have the enough monthly quota, if the RPS is not high enough, then the endpoint cannot handle the traffic as well. So you have to consider the RPS to be the right fit for your service. And then you have to consider the stability, because if you have the high enough RPS, you have enough quota, and if the endpoint is not stable enough, and let's say it happens like, it glitches like maybe once every 50 minutes or once every 30 minutes, then you will need to spend extra time to find out what happened in your system. Or maybe you have to write a complaint later or create a ticket on the endpoint provider's web UI. Yeah, something like that. And then, even though you find the perfect RPC endpoint for you, you have to consider the cost, because if you cannot make up the cost, then the RPC is not the right fit for you. So here are the few things we learned from the RPC. Besides the RPC, yeah, so all the high RPC usage from the swap, right? So when would user do the swap? And from our observation, like when there was something big happen on the market, and user will do a lot of swaps, like BTC all-time high, like Donald Trump became a president, or some kind of token hype. But in this kind of situation, the token price usually goes up. But what happens if the price keep going down on the market? So let's say that if Portus is trying to swap from ETH to USDC, and the price Portus provide is 2,600. And then when user accepts the price, when Portus really run the transaction, the price goes down to 2,400. What would happen? So there's a requirement on the CoSwap platform that Porters have to fulfill the price we promised at the first, no matter what happened on the market. So which means that if there is a price gap between the quote price and the executed price, then Porters will have to pay for it. So let's say if Porters have to pay 10 USDC per order, then based on our performance, we have to pay 2,400 USDC per hour, which is pretty scary for us. And what if the token price goes up? And you may ask, will Porters make 2,400 USDC per hour? I hope so, yeah. But when the price goes up, the gas cost usually goes up too, right? So this is the gas cost I got a few days ago, and the bottom is the gas price I got last year. So you can see the gas price could go crazy when there's a lot of activity happen on the blockchain. And when that happens, you have to be very careful, because the porters will charge a gas fee to compensate the gas cost from the user. But the gas fee is determined before we do the swap. So if I say I will charge 1 USD from the user for the gas, and when I try to execute the transaction, the gas goes up to 10. And then I have to pay for the extra cost, extra gas cost. And that's another loss for us. So what about a stable market? What if the market is stable and the gas price is stable? Is gas cost a concern? I would say that if you estimate the gas cost precisely, then it will be okay. But how to estimate gas cost precisely? So here are some fundamentals of gas cost on the website of EVM.codes, and you can check them, check all these fundamentals by yourself. But besides all these fundamentals, you may need to know what is initial gas, what is memory cost, and what is an access list, and when would you get a gas refund and other stuff. And all this knowledge can help you to estimate your gas costs more precisely. And after you know all the fundamentals of how to calculate the gas, then you can use a tool on Tenderly called Gas Profiler. So you can run your swap as transaction on Tenderly and see how much gas does it cost. And then this is the example. So, okay. So what if I already know the gas of a swap on a liquid pool? Is there anything I need to be aware of? There's something we found that the gas cost of a liquid pool may not be fixed. It would change based on different kind of conditions. And there was a time that when we tried to do a swap on Uniswap V4 pool, and because there's hook before and after the swap, right? So when we try to estimate our gas cost, because we only provide like the token address, the token amount, we didn't provide the from address. So the from address was 0, and we thought that was okay because it's just for an simulation. But the gas cost we got by using the 0 from address and the gas cost we got by using another real or say non-zero from address is totally different. So this kind of difference will make us to pay for the extra gas. And this is something I think everyone should be aware of. And besides the pool, there's also token we need to be pay attention to. So this is the transfer from function of MOG token. And as you can see, there's a lot of different kinds of condition in this contract code. And then you can see there's at least 4. So if any condition met in this contract code, the behavior will be different, which means the gas cost will be different. So you have to find a way to estimate your gas cost as precisely as you can. And talking about ERC20 token, there's another kind of token, it's called fee charge token. And fee charge token is a kind of token that will need to charge a fee when doing the swap. So at the time, Portus did not aware of this kind of token, so we did not charge the fee from the user when we provide the price. So, which means that we have to pay the fee for the user, which means another loss for us. So you have to really pay attention to what kind of token you're handling. Okay, so far we've walked through like the how to select your RPC endpoint and how to estimate your gas cost, and there's some unexpected behavior happen no matter it's on the system or on the market. So how do we find anomalies? And what if we don't deal with this kind of anomalies in time? What would happen? So for Portus, we collect data from the market and from our system every day, and we try to build a monitor system to monitor few metrics we set. And when the monitor system finds something weird, and then the system will send out alerts to tell the team to take a look at it. Because if we don't deal with the anomalies in time, there will be a huge chance for us to lose, right? Just like I mentioned before. But in the past, at first we set too many metrics at the moment, and then there were so many message flood in our channel, and there's the most scary part of this is not a lot of message you cannot read. The most scary part of this is that you don't know which one is the true alarm, and then it will easily be ignored by you, and then will cause some kind of tragedy. I don't know. Yeah. And there was a time that a solver on the CloudSwap platform did not handle their anomalies, I don't know, in time or in some kind of situation, but they need to pay the platform 4,000 USDC, which is something we try to avoid. And speaking of data, like I think everyone knows when you're collecting data, there will be a delay, right? You cannot get the data as soon as it showed up. Then maybe it depends on your frequency of your system refreshment, or it depends on when the data will be uploaded or when the data will show up. And some kind of data you have to rely on third party, like the data can be only provided by third party people, like maybe we rely on the data provided by call swap team, and the delay of this kind of data may vary from few hours or few days or even sometimes week. Yeah, and in that moment, in the time period, we will lose some sense of the market and our system because we cannot get the data. So that's the very important thing you need to know. Okay, so all talk about this, let's talk about why do you need Portus to do the swap for you. So let's see if, so Portus is a MEV protected solver, which means that if you do the swap with Portus and you don't need to worry about MEV, but what if you do a swap on a swap aggregator, right? You have to take care of the MEV by yourself, and when the gas cost is climbing, Portus will pay the extra gas for you. But what if you do the swap on a swap aggregator? You have to take care of the climbing gas cost, right? And if Portus win the chance to fill your order, the price, the best price we provide will be the best price of all 23 solvers on call swap platform. But what if you do the swap on an aggregator? The best price will be the price of all the liquidity pool the aggregator has, right? So, so far we've been walked through all the experience we have and share with everyone in this room. And so for now, Portus is working on enhancing RPC efficiency and developing swap strategy and improving our monitoring system to react to the anomalies more actively. So to address these challenges, we are hiring. We are looking for several roles. So if you are interested, please check our website, portus.xyz, or you can collect our POAP here, or you can find any one of us at our booth and talk to us. Thank you.
All right, any questions that we have? Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Thank
Hi.
you. Do you do like solve the cross-chain swaps as well? Like when user wants to, let's say, execute Ethereum to USDC, could you show the route also from Ethereum to Arbitrum? Maybe there is a much better route. Are you doing this kind of stuff too?
Because we're solving on call swap platform, right? So what we can show to user is not decided by us, but I think it's not. It's possible for us to if we one day we become an independent service. So yeah.
Are you planning for that?
There's some planning running, but I don't know when we will execute the plan. So yeah, we will let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? I do have a question actually.
Sure.
So as solver, right now, mostly you guys work on CalSwap. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Are you guys also working on other like platforms? Because as I understood, kind of like you have intent-based architectures, right?
Yeah.
And then solvers are kind of like the providers of these, like the real power of like powering these, right? So right now there's a lot of like chain abstraction systems, or all these things are kind of like the same thing, right? They all actually require solvers and then people that has liquidity and can front like, you know, users fronts. So yeah.
Yeah, so our main focus now is on the call swap platform, so there's still a lot of work to do, but we are doing our research to expand to other platforms like maybe OneInch or maybe Uniswap, but it's still under progressing, so you will see us if we finally launch our service on other platform.
Right. OneInch and Uniswap is like kind of under the aggregator kind of well category. Is that correct? Or
You mean
they have-
Uniswap X?
Oh, Uniswap X. I gotcha. Uniswap X is intent.
Yeah, Uniswap X is intent-based.
Right. Understood. And any plans for like, let's say, there's some others, D-Bridge, and also across. Across has been quite popular as well. I guess that could be a question for Shenting, right? But yeah, are these kind of like in line? And what do you consider when you choose? Maybe that's kind of like the question, because there's so many architectures around here, right? What do you prioritize in choosing what to integrate first as a solver?
Okay, so as a solver, the priority for us will be how much income we can earn on that platform, because every platform has their own rules, right? And some platform will focus on developing for the future, and then they may not have a lot of reward or bounties for other developers. But for us, the most important thing now is to keep the team survive, especially when we are in a cold market. So yeah, that's our first priority.
Understood. Thank you so much. Any other questions that you might have? If not, then thank you so much, Jeff. And once